Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. In today's video we are going to discuss about long-range FPV and which are the risks involved in flying long range, because this is very different than flying in close proximity. And I also will show you my latest test flight in which I achieved 6.5 kilometers, and I think I could have went longer, but I decided to turn back just because it was a test flight and I wanted to measure some things in order to don't risk when flying for a specific reason. In today's episode we are going to discuss about this particular drone. This is an iFlight Chimera V2 Pro. It has 2809 motors, Sing V2 from iFlight. These are very good motors, and the propellers that I'm using are stock propellers. I don't know if I can see the dimension. So these are 7.5 inch by 3.7 by 3. So these are not very high pitch propellers, but for flying this drone without a load like a GoPro on top of it, I think these are good enough. I have achieved a good range for this drone, and also the flight time is quite impressive. First of all, let me present more about this drone. This drone is fitted with a DJI O3 Air Unit, and I'm using as a remote control the Crossfire protocol. Also, on the back of the drone we have here a GPS. This is a GPS that helps us to have a way to get back if something goes wrong, like losing the radio control or losing the video. It will either automatically trigger the return to home, which is known as GPS rescue, or you can trigger the GPS rescue by flipping a switch and the drone will turn home and also auto land with the latest beta flight feature. I don't want to get you bored with these explanations. If you are here to only watch the video where I went to 6.5 kilometers downrange, you can skip this video and go right to the flight chapter and you can watch it. But if you're here to learn more about long range, I will start discussing some interesting stuff which I've learned in the past experiences. I'm not an expert in long range flying, but I have experienced some situations which you might have something to learn from. And this being said, let's start with this. So first of all, the most important thing when you're flying long range is range. And range is provided by three factors. One is radio control, then is the video transmission, and the last is the battery, which is very important, because if you don't have power, nothing else works. And there are also other important factors to mitigate risks of crashing your drone or losing it, but I will discuss them later. So let's first begin with the radio transmission. For long-range FPV, I personally use the Crossfire protocol because I know that it is very reliable, and I use Crossfire since I started FPV and it never gave up on me. This particular drone also have a Nano RX installed inside of it. I'm not using the DJI O3 Air Unit radio control system. I'm using the Crossfire. This is the Immortal T antenna here in the back, and for the radio transmitter I will show you what I am using, and this is very important. As a radio transmitter I have two transmitters here. This is the Tango 2, which I'm mostly using when I'm not flying actually long range, and I also have this Radio Master TX16S, which I'm flying together with this TBS Crossfire Micro TX V2. I install it in the back of the transmitter and I use it as an external transmitter together with this radio command. Well, now maybe you ask yourself why I should use one or the other. This is very important, and I haven't learned this since this test flight that I will show you later in this video. And this is very important. You can lose your drone if you're not paying attention. And I will show you exactly what I'm talking about. This TBS Tango 2 transmitter has some push buttons which are toggling on or off, and this is very convenient, easy to use, but implies some risks which I've discovered in this flight that I will show you. What I'm talking about is that these push buttons are getting weird, and when they are getting weared off, they are starting to have some bouncing, and this is really not good. When you're flying long range, all the systems you are using, you really want them to be reliable and to be sure that they are working properly without any failure. And I asked myself why I'm using the TBS Tango 2 and not the Radio Master. And this is because I mostly used this radio controller in the last time, and I haven't used for a long time the Radio Master, and I haven't had the receiver binded to it anymore. And I will show you exactly why you shouldn't use the TBS Tango 2 for long-range FPV, and you should use a Radio Master or any radio controller that has these heavy-duty switches. These are very important. This switch will not fail to you like this switch on the TBS Tango 2 failed to me. So I think it's very important to use a controller that have this kind of flip switches installed on it, and not these kind of switches that TBS Tango 2 uses. I'm not saying this controller is not good, it's awesome, I like it a lot, and also provides very good range, but when risks are involved, I will choose the Radio Master for long range FPV. Alright. The second thing that is important for flying long range is, as I said, the video transmission. And I'm not an expert of radio signal or something like that, but I use the DJI O3 Air Unit, which I know that from specs it cannot go further than 10 kilometers. I haven't tested that out, but I'm really interested in testing this and see if I can max out this range and what will happen. If you're interested in that, let me know in the comments. And who knows, maybe I will make a video about that, and I will try to lose video signal on purpose and see if I'm able to still trigger the GPS rescue. So for the video transmission, as I said, DJI O3 Air Unit, and I'm using it together with the goggles too, because these goggles have removable antennas. You can just remove them, pull them out like this, and you can replace these antennas with something that's more performant. And for long range, I will show you exactly what I am using. I'm using this TrueRC X-Air 5.8 GHz antennas, and these antennas are providing a bigger range than the stock antennas. These are easily installed like this. You just push them inside, and these antennas will provide you a better range. I use these antennas every time I'm flying long range, and they provided me very good performance so far. So this is what I recommend you to use if you're flying long range. And for flying long range, I use, and you should use, lithium-ion batteries, because these are able to discharge to a lower voltage without damaging the cells, and this will allow you to use the entire capacity of the pack without losing power. And here I have some batteries. I will show you on the screen right here the cells that I used to build this pack. We will get into more details about these cells because this is very important, and actually this was the main purpose of the test, to see which is the biggest current spike that I have along the entire flight, and also see which is the range I can get with this battery pack. So this pack is a 6S2P pack, meaning that for each cell I have two cells connected in parallel, and each of these pairs are connected in series, providing a 6S voltage but doubling the capacity and also the current that you are able to draw from this pack. And these cells are 4 amps capacity cells, meaning that connecting them in parallel you will have 8 amps hour capacity, which will bring you a very long time of flying, but it also is heavy and you have to take that into consideration. I choose these cells specifically to provide me enough current for this particular setup and also enough capacity for flying almost or even beyond the potential of this setup. But it is very important to be careful when you're building these packs homemade, because there are some dangers involved. For example, in the last flight, I was surprised to see when I landed that I almost caught fire in the air. This pack burned a little bit behind, and I really took a closer look to it, and I wondered why it got so hot, because I have flew with it previously and it didn't had any issues. And I initially thought that it was very hot outside, but that was not the case. Actually, having two cells connected in parallel and then connecting them in series with the next cell, here at the last two pairs I have a bridge between these cells, and I'm using two nickel plates, one here and the other on the other side. And what actually happened is that one plate disconnected mid-flight because it was not correctly welded down, and this makes this pack to draw the entire current only using one nickel plate. And this means that this nickel plate right here just took the entire current, and it got very hot and melted down the pack. I was very lucky that this didn't caught on fire and I was able to turn back, but this is something that will make you realize how important it is to have a very reliable setup when flying FPV long range. Okay, let's get next to the drone. I want to show you something else that you need to consider when flying long range. First of all, when you're flying long range and you have so many risks involved, it is very important to make sure that all the screws are tightened down very well and there is no loose screw or anything like that. Then also very important, make sure the antennas are very well tightened, because this might get loose in the air because you're flying for a longer time and you are not able to verify them mid-flight. And you really don't want to get one of these antennas loose mid in the air. Also, moreover this, it is very important, the build quality of the drone. You really need to be careful when soldering and connecting everything, because anything that is disconnected mid-flight can just finish your flight and you don't want that. And mostly these are the important things that you have to consider before starting flying FPV for long range. Now that I explained you what I'm considering when flying long range FPV, let's watch together the video together with the DVR on the screen and monitor the data. Okay guys, this was the test flight. I really hope you've learned something from this experience, and if you liked this kind of videos, please support my channel with a like and also subscribe, and please provide me some new ideas if you want in the comments, and I will do the best to make them happen. Bye guys!